Welcome to season 3 of the POV podcast. My name is Kate Rivera. And of course, season 3 is all about African stories and African leaders. And anytime we decide to have an African leader, they shake up the social media streets. And this one, I know, will definitely do that. The name is Elizabeth Nkukuu, with over 20 years in finance and economics. She's going to be telling us what goes behind the making of money, the lending of money, and even to understand money. But even also, we're going to be getting into her life story, how she got into finance, economics, and also the dynamics surrounding it. Elizabeth Nkukuu, who is also a consultant at Zurich Consulting and founder as well, will be telling us what it takes to be a wealthy person in Kenya. That's my first question. What does it take to be a wealthy person in Kenya?
Being consistent, waking up every day, pushing it every time, and making sure that you have a goal towards which you're investing.
So no days off?
There are many days off, but your money must be working for you.
Oh yeah,
as you sleep.
I've heard that so many times. Money must be working for you while you sleep. Does your money work for you while you sleep?
Yes.
Yeah.
But it can get better.
I like that. You know, that's something I've been using on my own, like when I'm discussing with my friends, like, oh, how are you, Kate? I'm like, I'm okay, but it can always be better. I like that.
Yeah.
With over 20 years in the finance world, what is a one mistake you remember till to date? You're like, if I have the knowledge I have now, I'll never do it again.
So when I got into the industry, I used to count money in the sense that we used to manage money for people. Okay. It seemed like a job. You see, just like the way you were tilling land, it didn't look like it's real money that should convert to cash.
Yes.
So despite the fact that I was in the industry, it also took long for me to start investing for myself.
Okay. So you're just seeing people transacting money, but wewe mwenyewe,
unaona kama you shall still do it. Actually, it didn't hit you immediately that, oh, okay, as I buy shares for these people, why shouldn't I buy for myself? Yeah.
I think sometimes it's the blindness of employment. And they say sometimes employment is like a hook to keep you there. Mm-hmm. Because have you ever stayed not employed for a while in your career?
I think I've been very lucky.
Yes.
I have been out on sabbatical, but not because I did have a job.
Yes.
Naturally, I'm a very, how do I say, I don't settle. So even on sabbatical, I still had to work.
Okay.
So I've had career breaks. And the largest, I think, was just before COVID, because I needed to get my kids and they needed to have their mother along.
Okay.
So, but even that, I found a busy thing to do. That's how Zurich was conceived.
Wow.
Because it felt like, hey, it's COVID time. People are suffering. Why can't I share information that I have? Mm-hmm. And then Zoom had just happened. Or people had actually just started
popular.
Thinking, yes, popular. So it's like, I'm in Narok. I wake up and I'm like, okay, let me teach people about money. Can we meet on Wednesday? I actually used to meet every Wednesday at 5.
Yes.
And my nephew used to do that for me. So I always find something to keep me busy, I think.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think a busy mind is always, thinking of new ways and creating. I believe people, yes, we call God the creator, but we also have the power to create.
Yes,
that's why we can have children. We create children. I think it's beautiful. You've mentioned being a mother.
Yeah.
And I'm always awed by women who are able to handle career and also home. Mm-hmm. How have you done it? And how old are your kids? And do they understand what mom does?
Hey, those are many questions. So I am a mother to a Gen Alpha. Gen Alpha.
Gen Alpha, Gen Z.
Yes. She's turning 17. She's just finished her year 13.
Okay.
So we've become best of friends now. I am a mother to two girls, twins. They are 5.
I love twins.
Yeah. So do they understand what mom does? Mm-hmm. I think they do.
Yeah.
But I have tried to do, you can't balance. But you can integrate. Okay. So just before I came here, they were swimming somewhere. So you go say hi, and then you continue with your job. So make sure that you're integrating and weaving it through so that you don't feel like you are leaving something behind.
Okay.
For the longest, when I am on holiday or I'm going on holiday, I can't be able to be completely switched off.
Okay.
So you have to really learn how to integrate it because you'll never have it all together. And will it ever be balanced? No. I think there's a lady I was listening to, and one of the things she says was that when I'm being a good mother, just know that career is suffering.
Oh.
And when I'm being a good in career, it means that motherhood is suffering. So you'll never have it all together, but you can carry them along.
I think for women, they can't have the work-life balance because a lot of weight of motherhood is levied on women.
Yeah.
Because I feel like men sometimes can drop the ball and just, go by and pursue their careers.
Yeah.
Do you feel like if you are a different gender, you'd be able to have the balance?
I think it's also that they choose to take the balance.
Okay.
But I've also talked to gentlemen who actually took a really fast pace in terms of being their kids, present in their kids' lives.
Yes.
I'll give you an example. I was speaking to a guy who was a CEO of one of the largest institutions in this country. But what surprised me, he told me he dropped and picked his kids every single day without fail as long as he's in this country.
Allah. At a meeting with the president and
Yes. In life, people get your boundaries.
Okay.
And they respect them.
Okay.
So if they know that Kate has to do this, they will support you to do it. Because when you come, you'll also be very present. You won't feel guilty. Oh, I needed to. You are present at the moment.
I like that.
Yeah.
When you create your boundaries, even the offices respect you. And I think that's what you need at the end of the day. There's one thing I have come to respect about women in the finance industry is how you have to learn how to build your portfolio. And I bet now you've been able to build such a great portfolio when it comes to finances. What are some of the mistakes you've seen women make that if you were giving tips as a consultant? I'm getting my free consultation today. You tell women, please don't do this earlier in your year or take time before you do this. What are some of the mistakes maybe women have been making that they shouldn't be doing?
I will take it first from what I have, because all the mistakes that I'll talk about, I can tell you I've made each and every one. Each mistake. The starting point is not feeling adequate.
Okay.
So we go for an interview and you have a gentleman here, he'll definitely get at least 10-20% higher than you. Because you always think you don't believe in you. So that has always been a big issue. Imposter syndrome, you feel like you don't belong. And the world has a way to just give you what you ask for.
Yes.
So that is one of the biggest. We leave a lot of money in the table.
Women?
Yes.
Women leave money on the table? Sisi?
Yes.
Wajua sisi tunakula fair?
Tunakula fair watu kama umeshaweka. Lakini when it comes to actual asking for what is your worth, in most cases, ladies are paid less. And there are a lot of statistics about it.
That's true.
So that for me is one of the things that I think we can be bolder. We can ask for what we really deserve.
Yeah.
The other thing is that at times you think you're told to choose between family and career. That is the other thing. I think, yes, you cannot have it 100%.
Yeah.
But if you are a career person, you can still be able to, you may not get it faster than the guys, but you'll still get there.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah. And for the people who have chosen to be stay-at-home moms and all that, it is still okay. But is it your decision? So for me, what is most important is decide that this is what I want and this is what I'm going for. Yeah. It is very, very important, and create options. So the other thing about money is about creating options.
Okay.
So it's because you're employed, you don't think about what else I can do. You are really good maybe at hairdressing. So why can't you do it? You have extra time. So instead of going to look at how do I monetize that, which I know or I can, that comes to me naturally.
Yeah.
Maybe you go hanging out with your girls. And you still can hang out from some later time after you've made
points. Or maybe during the weekend
or during the weekend.
Yeah.
So that is also just being distracted. We like to belong. We like to be liked.
I feel like you've come here to attack us. Ladies, are you feeling attacked?
But it's because that is me.
No, but I like it because it's coming from a woman. So it's very realistic.
Yeah. So it's very, very important that to just feel like, yes, good to be loved, but at the same time, it's good to love you. And that helps you create those options. So you can always think about what is that comes to you naturally and how can you monetize it?
Let's get into those options you've mentioned. What are the options Liz, her name is Liz, by the way, if you know her personally like me. If you don't know, you call her Elizabeth Nkukuu. That's how you write her check. So what are the options Liz has had throughout her career that are not maybe documented when we go to your website or to your consulting firm? What are the options that you do on the side?
I do many things.
Yes.
Latest. Let me start from the latest. I farm. So I think starting last month or so.
Yeah.
I'm now selling maziwa mala.
No, hujaniletea maziwa mala jamani. Na venye napenda na ugali moto. Very good.
Yeah, imagine.
Okay.
I have this house girl who she's just amazing.
Yeah.
So when we got some cows and I brought milk, I was like, oh, Mom, we shall be selling this. I
Yes.
was like, yeah, why not? This is good.
Okay.
So I enjoy farming. I really thought after my childhood, which was we farmed because we must, I thought I would never love it.
You grew up farming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
my mom was all about farming and farming again.
Okay.
So I really didn't think I would do that. So last year, I just went, and then there was this farm just around Nairobi, and I was just like, why can't I just do vegetables? And then shortly, the vevegetables are more than enough that I can consume.
Yeah.
So every Saturday, we meet Mama Mboga with my kids.
Financial consultant / Mama Mboga.
Mama Mboga. Yeah. And why do I do that? At times, I'm like, it's not because the money is good, but am I making money that compared to my hourly rate?
Yes.
Definitely not. But you have created employment to 2-3 people. Number 2, normalizing that you can be a CEO and still do a lot.
I love that.
Yeah, because it's not you're not less. You should not look at that Mama Mboga and think that she has no options or this is what she must do. It is maybe that's what she likes, or maybe that is what the world served her. So normalizing and just knowing that you could be a PhD holder,
yes,
but you'll still eat from the soil.
I love her. I've never met a PhD holder who's a Mama Mboga. It's the first time. But there's so many people who are educated in the soccers. I have relatives of mine with master's degrees in the soccers because also employment really has changed a lot of things in Kenya.
Yeah.
Let's focus on your employment a little bit because that's where your CV has really grown.
Yeah.
And we've really touched base on personal. And one of the biggest highlights of your career is being the CEO and the first CEO of the Financial Inclusion Fund, also known as Hustler Fund. Hustler Fund is just one of the products of the Financial Inclusion Fund. Is that true?
Actually, it's a brand name.
It's a brand name.
That when you go to the documentation, it is Financial Inclusion Fund, but you know the way it was launched? It was launched as the Hustler Fund. Yes.
So nyinyi kwa karatasi mnaita Financial Inclusion, Wakenya wanaita Hustler Fund.
Yeah.
What was the decision, because being as CEO at that time, what was the decision in creating such a fund? Because I think this is the first time we've seen government giving out funds like that. Most of the time people go through so many processes to be able to access money from the government.
Yeah.
This was the first time I'd ever seen something like this.
So one of the things that you'll realize is that when this government came into power, they really wanted to empower the mwananchi.
Okay.
And one of the ways to empower someone is actually to give them financial options.
Yes.
So the Financial Inclusion Fund came to give you that those options.
Okay.
So you could, and just to put it the way it's supposed to be looked at, you see, Mama Mboga, Mama Fua.
Yes.
I've woken up. I have gone to look for a kibarua. Then, unfortunately, that is the day that I don't get a kibarua.
Yeah.
But remember, my kids still are hungry. So what do? I have to go to the kiosk to get some cash or to copper something for the day.
Yeah.
So what the government was trying to do is to give dignity to the Mama Fua.
Okay.
I didn't get a job today.
Yeah.
But instead of going to Anika myself outside that, you know what, I don't have money, I can just go to my phone, get some cash, and guess what? My kids are happy.
Yes.
I have flour for that day. So that gives you and buys you an option. You know, me and you are lucky. We can walk into a bank and get a credit card.
Yes.
What happens to Mama Mboga?
They don't have that.
They don't have
financial
that option.
Freedom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then the other key thing is that when people are not fully employed or are not employed, they get old. They have no ways to save for their money. They start to save for their retirement or when they are older.
Yes.
So then that is the other option that the Hustler Fund was bringing, the investment options. How else can you put your money away? And that way you have something when you retire. So what they did is as you borrow your 100 shillings, they keep for you 5 shillings.
Yeah.
Because that 5 shillings will accumulate and it becomes a lot of money.
I think that perspective people didn't catch. People just got ninaomba pesa, nimeomba pesa.
Nimeomba pesa. So that saving as we speak right now is more than 4 billion.
Yeah.
So your 20 shillings, my 5 shillings, all that. So the Hustler Fund was to come and help you, someone who could not access that money from the banking sector.
Yeah.
And what was the other thing that it was trying to achieve? Credit in the digital space is very expensive.
Okay.
You're borrowing at 7% per month. Hustler Fund came to bring that down. You actually borrow at 8% per year.
Okay.
So, and if you pay within the same day, you actually not charged anything.
Wow.
Yeah. So the only thing...
Some of us didn't pay back. I'm not saying me, I'm just saying. You know, she's here. Anaweza amua anitumanishie watu.
Tangalia.
Allah. Anyway,
So it brought those options to various people.
Yes.
And let me tell you something. There are people who started with 3,000. Today they're borrowing 150.
Wow.
How did they get there?
Okay.
They borrowed and repaid.
There are success stories.
Very many success stories.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are many success stories, but also there are very many people who borrowed and said it's their part. So for the people who thought that this wasn't going to work or they're just testing the system, I think it's one of the noble thing that we should all support. If you're employed, you don't need that money. Please just give it back. It is Mama Mboga's.
Please give it back.
Yeah.
It's for the everyday consumer. I won't lie. I was one of the people who kind of saw a lot of skepticism in it. I'll be honest. I think even I posted it on my socials. I was like, hii ni sarakasi inapigwa hapa. Because for the first time ever, I don't think I had ever seen something like that. I had seen the youth fund a long time ago. You'd seen all this kind of funds coming up. So I was like, okay, this is another gimmick one more time. And I don't think this has been done in any other governments across the world. You correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm like, wow, okay, this is interesting. Has this ever been done in any other country before? No,
not in this way. There's none that has been done this way.
Yeah.
And the beauty about this is also the government was bringing in the money. The private sector was providing the infrastructure.
Okay.
So when you think about this money, at least everybody who borrowed must have been a client of Safaricom, of Airtel, of Tcash.
Yeah.
So you are really dealing with real people.
Sorry.
So it becomes very easy for you to identify. That also creates controls. You see, even for you running this fund, you want to ask yourself, where can money get lost? So the beauty is the service providers, actually you intertwine, you are together. So the due diligence was really done by the private sector. So a complete success of a public-private partnership.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were the first person who sat on that seat. And there's something that happens to a lot of women. I don't know if you're aware. It's called the glass cliff. Sometimes women are placed in certain positions in corporate to kind of carry the weight or even fall with the team when it happens. I know you've seen it.
Yeah.
A lot of women are even put into certain positions just as a form of inclusivity. Was this a DEI appointment as well? I have to ask.
So the thing is, as ladies, we are competitive.
Okay.
So when someone looks at your CVs and see you're the most capable for that particular position, then when you're given that position, I think it's better to do it and then always know when to quit. So it's one of those things that you look and say, if your job is done, move to the next bigger assignment. Actually, I was speaking to my coach, and one of the things was like, I think I'm tired starting. I'm always starting and pulling and...
You specifically?
Yeah.
You're always starting afresh?
Yeah.
Why? Why is that a norm for you?
I think God just gives difficult things to different people.
To start again. Starting again is a lot.
No, starting because just before this, I was in Saiton, one of the founding members, and actually doing all the ops from the first client to sister, and then now this, and then now Zuri that has always been there.
Yeah.
But one thing I like about all this is you are put in a position whereby you must think. Your only option is you must think. The other thing that I know I've learned with this particular one is asking for help. I was one of those people that was always like, I will figure it out.
Okay.
Now I know, I don't have to figure it out. Someone else can help me figure it out.
It's good. I think that's a very big, it's a change even in character and personality to be open to asking for help.
Yeah.
What was it that was making you not ask for help?
Two things,
Yeah.
So first, I thought it's a sign of weakness. And I always knew that coming from quote unquote a marginalized community, you're a lady. So I always like, if you ask for help, people will say, oh, okay, she's not good enough.
She's not capable.
She's not capable.
Alipata hii kazi aje.
Alipata hii kazi aje. So that's one part. Then the other thing is, and again, I feel like I'm getting back there with ChatGPT and all that.
Yeah.
If I tell you to do for me something and then you do it, you take longer, number one. And then number two, you give me something that is so out there. I'm like, why can't I just do it and finish and sleep?
But you see, that's not sustainable.
It is not. It is not.
Because we live in communities and work with communities. Yeah. We have to be very open to let other people work with us. But I'm glad you're saying it's a learning process for you.
Yeah.
I think also for a lot of women, it's very common. You don't want to ask help because once you ask help, they're like,
Yeah. Na alikuja hapa kufanya.
Have you ever encountered such interactions? Because people might question how you got the seat. But I can tell you're a very informed woman. She's actually undertaking her PhD as we speak. But people will always question why you're seated at that table. How did you get to that table?
If you look at most of the conversation I always have,
yes,
always make sure that you have what it takes to be on the table.
Okay.
So if, for example, I want to be the best communication person, I cannot be the best communication person if I don't have the degree, I don't have the papers, and my work does not speak for me. So for me, when I presented my CV, it was clear.
Yeah.
She's one of the best people in this country.
But do you say, give yourself flowers, please do it now, because if you don't, who will?
Yeah.
And luckily, as you're getting your flowers, you're able to be listed as 40 under 40, but that was back in 2016.
Yeah.
Very exciting for you. What do you remember that moment you were listed in that big listing? And it's usually done by Forbes Africa and Forbes Kenya. And do you remember some of the women you were put on the list with? Because I can imagine it's some heavyweights.
So it was two things. So first of all, during that process, very excited. And I remember Kenya, my daughter, I think I was she takes that numbering. It's alphabet, what is it called? Numerically.
Oh, she's like, when ulikuwa number 1?
Ulikuwa number 16. But
16 out of 40 people is quite okay. Madam.
So, yeah, she's
okay.
Yeah. So it was one of those things that was very humbling. And one of the things that I still remember, asking myself, how did I deserve this?
Okay.
So most of the time, and I think now once you get to 40, you start accepting, is that you don't accept who you are in such a long time, irrespective of the amount of work that you've done. So if today I was to speak to a lady younger, 20 years, please believe in yourself, because you've put in a lot of work, but you always the self-doubting.
Okay.
And the other thing that you need to realize is that affects ladies more, but it's a cuts across. The imposter syndrome is real.
Yeah.
No matter where you sit, you will always be like, they will catch me. Watanishika.
I think it's shocking to hear this from a CEO, a lady doing her PhD with 20 years experience. You saying things like that is scary. And it's not scary in terms of, it's scary to me who's still growing in my world and in my work, because I'm like, if she experienced this, how do we feel? You know? And then it makes me wonder for your children, for your girls. You have only girls, yeah?
Yes.
What seeds do you plant in them so that this self-doubt does not creep up? Because you will not always be with them. They will go into the world and do their own things. You'll hold your hand until you're not able to hold their hand anymore. What do you do? What seeds do you plant so that they're able to, cancel the self-doubt? Because it happens. You're seeing yourself on that list, you're like, Nico number 16, Zigwego number 1. Why? Those questions will crop up to any girl. Yeah. Whether 40 or 10.
Yeah.
I
think the starting point is most ladies need to talk about it, talk about their experience, because there is someone who is waiting to listen to your story. There is someone who is admiring you, but they don't know. They think that you are this superhuman person, but realizing below this person is a normal human with a lot of faults, with a lot of strength, but at the same time not believing the strength. So most people need to come speak about it so that we normalize it. And as we normalize it, we are able to uplift each other.
Yes.
So that is very, very important, because for as long as it's not normalized you'll always doubt yourself, but you'll go anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know, even when you're presenting and you have really prepared for a speech, until you stand, as you walk from where you're seated to the podium, you are self-doubting. But once you stand and you start presenting, you feel there's just something that comes
when the words start rolling out.
Yes. So it is in the doing. Do it anyway, even if you're afraid.
Okay.
Just knowing to tell yourself it is okay. You will feel not comfortable, you will feel what, but to do it. And as you do it, now you have things to look back to and say, oh, and I did, and I can do. So I think will it ever end completely? No, but you are able to cope with it.
Okay. As you grow, you're able
you grow to cope with it. So for my daughters, one of the things that I have done is I I kind of throw them in the deep end quite a bit.
You throw the girls in the deep end. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
Apana.
they have to figure it out because life is what it is. If mommy is not there, what happens? So give them opportunities, support, but at the same time, let them figure it out.
Give me an example of how you've dealt maybe with the twins doing something or your Gen Z. Give me a practical example of when Liz, the mom, threw their kids into the deep end and they swam out, or they were able to actually get it.
Let me just give an example of swimming as swimming. The actual swimming. So one of the twins seemed very good in terms when it comes to swimming. The other one was kind of struggling.
Yeah.
But I'm actually literally just threw them as like, Tati, you need to catch up with your sister because life is not easy. And you'll have to be competitive, but not negatively competitive.
Okay.
So that has been one of the key things. And interesting now, I combine swimming and ballet at the same time. So we finish swimming and then go to ballet because one of them is good in swimming, the other one is good in ballet. So they need to realize that they are not competing in the same things, but you can be good in both.
That you can balance.
Yeah, you have to balance.
Yeah.
So for my Gakenya, that's the older one.
Yeah.
I think for her, it's a different kind of upbringing because she's very competitive.
Oh.
So it is actually now...
competing with who? And she's, I think that maybe she's been the older one for a while. What gap difference do they have?
11 years.
She's been a grown-up. Okay, not a grown-up. She's been an only child for 11 years.
Yes.
Who is she competing with?
When she goes to school, if she's not number 1, 2, 3, then we have to keep fighting and telling her, no. It is okay. So for her, what happens is that now you need to tell her, imagine it's okay not to be number 1. Imagine there's more to life. So we have different conversation about you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. As opposed to I have to be the one that the teacher sees, that the teacher gives, that that kind of thing. So you need to look at life and try and ground people, but accept where they're coming from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever receive that kind of grace for yourself? Because growing up myself, my dad would always say he was number 1. And for real, my dad was actually number 1. For real. That shocked me because he's one of those kids who are actually gazetted.
Yes.
Yeah, he performed very well. So he really put pressure on us to perform quite well. And I remember, I think millennials and boomers growing up were given so much pressure to perform.
Yeah.
The grace of Atukikuja number 3, you're still okay. I don't think did you receive it? I don't know.
I was more than Gakenya.
Allah.
So I've been a very competitive person.
So we know where she gets it from. We know.
Even
genetics don't lie.
So what used to happen? Actually, my mom now used to do what I do for Gakenya. So I remember, like when I would get to number 3, I would cry and I would like, what is this? And I would almost like dislike the person who has competed me, and I won't talk to you until the day I'm in front of you. Yeah, but with age, you just realize, oh, okay, it's okay just to be not to number 1, but around the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you've carried that skill into outperforming yourself even as a grown-up now and in career. And I find that amazing. It's great to hear you speak about your children and what they're doing with their lives. It shows a lot of presence, something not all parents are able to have. So kudos to you for that. I want to get into something very interesting. She has a book on her lap. Please just show it to the people on screen. It's called Thrive, Anchoring Financial Freedom. And it's with Elizabeth Nkukuu. And one of the most interesting things about putting your story in a book is that you bear it all. Other than just guiding people, there's a chunk of your life that you put into that book. Do you remember what chunk of your life you put into that book?
So let me take you through the journey. So what I did, I started with this book, which is more about your finances.
Yes.
So most of it is really just demystifying finance.
Okay.
And I'll give you an example like debt management. I'm one of those people who have learned the hard way of not giving debt.
Not giving debt?
Yes.
Okay.
Because one of the challenges I have is when you want to be liked.
Want to be accepted.
Or accepted. You just and you're a risk taker. So those two combined are the recipe for bad debt.
Yeah.
So when it comes to things like those, when I did the book, I did not put a lot of my personal life. into it. I gave it more of practical ways to deal with my financial matters. But guess what? I'm doing my personal book, which should be out in a month or so. The manuscript is done.
Yeah.
And I've titled it Becoming Anyway.
Becoming Anyway.
Yes.
Okay.
So despite what
look
it
forward
is,
to that.
you have to become. And also what I have realized as we speak this, I have also realized that there are many people who would like to learn from what I do or what I feel. So I these days I do a lot of social media writings. And it's just because I would be observing and say, oh, look at that flower.
Yeah.
What can I learn from the flower?
Yeah.
And then I would just write about it. So that way you're able to share with people that you could not ever meet. So and it's the same concept that is there in the Women and Leadership. There's a book called Women and Leadership that was done by the former Prime Minister of Australia and some finance minister of Nigeria.
Yeah.
You see, most ladies will ask you, what is it that I can do to succeed? You cannot and you see the thing is you cannot be able to mentor many people because also your time is late.
You have your own life to carry, yeah.
So one of the things that they put very clear in that book is how are you communicating the hardship, the successes, how are you bringing them down? So I realized to this age of social media, please just share. Whoever listens, at least will get one snippet. They'll go to listen to someone else. And that way you're becoming a mentor without necessarily having to sit down with someone.
Yes.
So that's the way I'm looking at in terms of what I've learned and how do I bring it down.
I like that.
Yeah.
There is a risk though of sharing. Because with sharing now, people know a little bit about your life. Now they're speculating. Who is she? How did she do that? How do you prepare yourself for those moments? Because, social media is a double-edged sword. One time it's working for you, another one it's used against you.
So I think you need to take the risk.
Okay.
But do not put your life outside. You can share without sharing you. So not necessarily kujianika and saying this is what just have your boundaries. So I want to talk about motherhood. There is things that I will not talk about. The things I'll talk about. But because there has to be things that are they're really for you. And there are things that are shareable and can help. Yeah. So I feel like it's just an issue of knowing and being very intentional about how you teach and make sure that you do not break that. But at the same time, also knowing that when it goes out, how do you react? Because will you get hate? Just put it. Is it haters? Yes, you will.
You get haters. When I say mangana are haters.
You will, but the question is, how do you accept it with grace? But one of the other things that I'm also learning, it's okay to block people. It's okay to block negative.
Have you blocked some people?
Yeah.
You've had to?
You have had to. Okay. Because you wake up in the morning and you see, most people talk about morning routines.
Yeah.
And do I have a clear morning routine? The answer is maybe.
Yes.
I have read a lot of things where people say, please do not touch your gadget the first thing that you wake up. That advice has not worked for me.
It has fallen on the wrong ears. Too many people, you're not the only one. Too many of us.
Because I'm just like, if I see something, maybe that's what is going to just make me wake up and do something. So I have tried that. But after I wake up, I look at maybe this is Twitter and this is Elizabeth being trolled here.
Have you ever been trolled on Twitter? Especially when it comes to, I know the Hustler Fund really put you in the world. Like your identity was really put in the world. Was that? Have you ever been trolled for that or questioned? You're safe. You're lucky.
It's because we argue on facts. How many people have taken money? How many have they returned? Okay. So there are things that you can't argue with. So, and then the other thing is I only respond. I'll try as much as possible to respond to things that I can control. So even if you come and ask me questions that I don't want to answer, see, if I don't answer, it ends.
Zandadu. It's really Zandadu. I really, it's a lot of times when we hear people have, especially in the finance sector, they're not as happy and jolly and, flexible with their lives. And I think you've been able to do it so well. I don't know what has helped you be able to do that. You need to give us some tips. Because whenever you sit with someone who's done finance and maybe even is pursuing their PhD, you're like, oh, they're very by the book, very strict. But I can see there's a lot of flexibility with you. Where did you get that from?
Life.
Yeah?
Life teaches you a lot of things as you grow. Yeah? I keep saying when you get to 40, that's when for sure people start living because they're you don't care about judgment.
Allah.
you assert yourself and you learn a lot. So I think the thing is, I coming up, my mom was very strict.
Okay.
Very, very strict. And she demanded a lot of quote unquote perfection. And so I think it's one of those things that you're like, this one, I have to be different. And I think that is what has changed who I am.
Yeah.
And also just making sure that you're spending a lot of time with yourself so that you're grounded. So how do you leave all this and just be you?
Be Elizabeth.
And also don't even want at times you don't even want to be called mom. You're just like, I want to be Elizabeth by myself.
You had those moments where I'm like, mom, and like, today I'm Liz. You've had those moments?
A lot. I just like, from this time to this time, no one is calling me.
Allah.
Yeah.
And your children have to respect that.
But you have to do it in a certain way that it's not, they don't feel later, like you're throwing them out. So how do I do it? I either go running, so that way you have a whole 1 hour with yourself and listen to your podcast, or you just go golf or something. And at times I golf, but I also golf alone a lot. Allah? If that makes sense. You know, like in the morning you just want to hit the ball. Yeah. So you need to get away whereby people respect that boundary, but at the same time you're just bringing yourself back in.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how you get your strength.
Let's go back to mom, the granddam.
Yeah.
That's what I call mothers, granddam. You said she was very strict in her way of, how she ran her home. I don't feel like you're that strict in your home. You're very flexible, because we had a little bit chat before camera and we before we went live, and she told me a little bit of how she runs her home with her kids. Why do you feel like that generation was very strict? Because I won't lie, my parents also come from that generation where they're very by the book. You have to do this. You have to follow this way. Why do you think they were like that? And why are we tunalegeza as we go? Because even the way you're dealing with your Gen Z and the way you're dealing with Gen Alpha, I feel like there's a lot of lapse or laxity. Yes, laxity is the right word with parents now as compared to how strict our parents were.
I think life was just difficult for them.
You think so?
I think, and they were coming from, how do I put it? They didn't see it any better.
Okay.
They really wanted a lot of good things for us. So the only way they knew is to chapa and make sure that this is how you're doing it. And my word is, you can't argue with it.
Yes, it's military.
It's military. And even that's, I don't know how you went to school, but that's how our school is. You could just look like this. You see the headmaster. Actually, it was the perfume. You could tell his perfume and you're just like, shh.
You call him perfume?
Yeah, he had perfume. So please let him not hear me. So we could
he's alive, he's going to hear you. Mwalimu wa Nkukuu, amekushtaki hapa.
So ukisikia tu hivi, unakimbia. So it's just the way I think they were cultured.
Yeah.
And for them, success meant a certain way of thinking, not debates. Because even now, honestly, I don't think I can debate a lot with my mother.
If she said is the word.
If I'm not doing, I move.
Allah.
Yeah, because how do you even start having a conversation that now this one you can't do like this? Even
telling her, hey, mom, you can't parent the way you are parenting. Because I know there are moments she would question how you're parenting your kids. Hey, you let your children do that.
All the time. How are people just seated in the house? And I'm like, relax, tutatoa vyombo at some point. Hazitalala hapa. Actually, that thing brings me, we could not sleep with dirty utensils in my mom's house. I'm like, so for me, I'm like, yes, tutaosha, but at some point, si lazima titumalize. It's not like we have to enjoy.
Yes.
We have to move.
We just ate. Can we digest?
And then go wash utensils later? Yeah. So I just feel like not for her, she came from a difficult background.
Okay.
And she believed that the only way out of this is education. And so the only way to get that education was to protect you. And to make sure that you seeing where she's going.
Okay.
I think the hope was you can see where she's going because she means well. They all meant very well.
Of course.
But the issue was, how do we react? If today we parented the way they did, we would lose our kids.
Allah. Yeah. If we were that laxative, if we were that relaxed.
Strict. If we were that strict then.
Or if we're that strict now.
You can't.
It's not going to work.
It's gonna, no.
Why not?
Why are you shouting? and if you just say it We
I
shall
can
just-
hear you. Si
I
lazima
can-
unishautie.
na nitasikia nitafanya. Si nilisema nitafanya. So you see, if I can't even tell that to my mother.
See,
even
you see
today.
the word see?
They will say.
See is a very criminal word. It's
Even
actually
now.
documented in the penal code of
Yeah.
parenthood. Say the word see and you will see.
Yeah, you will see nicely. So I feel like it's just that generations have changed.
Yeah.
And the other thing is also we extend grace because you're not present.
Okay.
And you'll realize that when we trade time for money, at times that we let the kids go away with a lot.
Okay.
So maybe it's just trying to balance. But yes, we cannot be like them.
Of course, because we're in a new age, the age of information.
Yeah.
Children are aware.
Yeah.
They need to be treated a certain way and differently.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting things that you have been able to do is to pioneer an alternative investment in Kenya. Pioneering alternative investment in Kenya. And I think a lot of people don't understand how investment of cash management fund in Kenya market can work. Would you mind explaining that to someone who barely has any financial literacy?
Okay.
Yeah.
And before I answer that question, I want to take you back from, we have talked about earning and the options that you have.
Yes.
So you've already received that money. So how do you decide where it goes?
Okay.
So I need to think about a budget. And then as I think about a budget, there is that portion that I need to put away for, we call it saving, I'll call it investment. Reason being, saving is you're earning something very little, 2-3%, which is similar to inflation, so you're doing nothing.
Yes.
So you have to make that money work for you. Okay. So that's then where we get to the various investment options that comes in, like the money market fund and the other funds.
Yeah.
So my background has been in what we call traditional investments.
Okay.
So your equities, your fixed deposits, your bonds. So that is the base. If you don't understand that, then you can't layer it on. So what is happening now, I think most people are really educated. We might not have learned financial matters during our time in school, but now with social media and people pushing for better and for more, actually people are asking us, and where else can I put money other than just to put it buroti maguta maguta? You know, that's those kind of conversation. Where else can I put my money?
Yeah.
So with that, then the alternative investments come in. And the Capital Markets Authority has been able also to allow more fund managers to come in, more players. And that way you have different people having this conversation. So what then can a person do? So there are different investment options that you can look at. Okay. You can look at the basic one I say is the money market fund. Why do I say the money market fund
very
is the
common
best?
now?
It's very common and it's very liquid.
Yes.
And you're still earning something. You know, you're really learning about capital markets. You're learning about how to grow your money. But at the same time, you have all your options. You can get your money when you need it. Actually, most of them, something like ZD from Safaricom, it is very, very, everything is actually there.
Yes.
You can
all
actually
the
be able to
information.
all the information and even accessibility.
Yeah.
So, but as you get more sophisticated, as you get to engage, as you grow your net worth, and net worth is the amount of money that you have, you actually are able to have more options. Can I lend to the government directly? And if I'm lending to the government directly, what are my options? Do I go to a treasury bill? Do I go to a government bond?
What do I get? Do I get a tax break or something?
What are the tax benefits that I'm getting if I go there? I think like something like an infrastructure bond right now is tax-free. You know, it really increases the amount of money that you have. So the fact that people are now asking, I don't have to buy property at home. I can actually be able to get a return. And I'll give you, like the infrastructure bond is giving you 15% return. Okay. With a 15% return for the next 10 years, where would I go do a development in real estate where I have to do a CMT, all those
monitoring, my contractor, kanjo, amekuja ametushika.
And yet your money can work for you while you're just doing the podcast here.
What we were talking about before, your money working for you while you sleep.
Yes.
I wouldn't lie. I enjoy my sleep. So this looks like an option for me. You've talked about something that I found very interesting, handling certain portfolios or managing funds for people. Have you managed anyone's funds in this country, or have you managed certain people's portfolios, and how does that work?
Yes. So when I started my career, I worked in a fund management company. Okay. We used to manage money for people. And that money for people was for their pensions. I'll give you, if you think about the pension industry in this country, we are talking of more than 2.2 trillion Kenya shillings. That's a lot
That's
of
big
money.
numbers.
Yeah, it is. And now, I'm sure all of us are now contributing to NSSF kama tunataka kama tutaki, because it is low. And we are employing our people and they need to get that money. So there's a lot of fund managers who do money management, either for pension schemes and also for they call pooled funds. The unit trust money market fund is just one of the pooled funds. So that is one of the places that that I've really used in terms of managing money. So what am I doing now? Or what is my face? I believe that many people have invested, but they really don't understand the options they have and the why. So what we have done at Zurich is really demystifying all these blocks of wealth creation, automating quite a bit of them in terms of training, the training material, and then also we want to we also want to be your accountability person.
Okay, tell me about that.
You see, you have your salary, you're 50,000.
Yeah.
With that 50,000, you're supposed to at least to save at 10,000 or 5,000. If you're investing 5,000, we need to remind you by end month, please send that money to the money market fund. Most of the time, if you're not reminded...
So, Azuri, you people are able to do that for me?
Yeah.
You remind me?
We'll remind you.
Because no one will remind you unless you put a standing order.
Unless you put a standing order. Yeah, we want to remind you because we also want you to be conscious that pesa imeenda.
Yes. Imeenda hapa na hapa.
Imeenda hapa na hapa. And then we create that portfolio where you can be able to look for, at least see what is going on.
Yes.
So that is one of the things that we are really trying to do. And then the other thing is most of us really bought many plots.
Yeah.
I don't know your generation, but our generation.
Maguta.
Yes. Yeah. But most of them don't even know where the titles are. They even forgot where they are. So we're also trying to say, can we bring all your wealth in one platform? Can you document all the titles of your properties?
Yeah.
We are not going to hold them for you, but we will remind you where they are. So the day it comes that you are writing your will or you're transferring your wealth to the next generation, you'll just have one statement that can help you do that.
Okay, so you're really making people aware of their wealth, which is very essential. We have so many unclaimed assets where people are dying and they don't know, hey, pesa ilibaki hapo. I know of a property that was so big, acres, and they had created, is a family that had done a lot of real estate. And one of the units was still in contention and still under loan. And when the father passed away, he hadn't told the children. So the loan accumulated. So the bank came and repossessed it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God.
Imagine.
Units going for worth 90 million each. And I think that is very essential for people to understand. But I want to talk about these people who are bringing their titles and they're bringing to you their documentation of their wealth. What is the characteristic of this person? Who is this kind of person who is able to bring a portfolio of 100 million, 50 million, as a manage me, make me more accountable, or even someone who's growing to that kind of money? What is the characteristic of this person?
So for the person who have a lot of money, they are not the ones that you will come to your website and fill it. You have to look for them.
Okay.
Those as you are doing complete portfolio management, you give them options. You're telling them, okay, you have 100 million. I'm seeing most of it is in real estate. Can you liquidate some? Can you put some in government security? So that one is more a one-on-one and then a journey that you agree to work with them. But who is our direct target clients? Because we are looking at this in terms of being a mass market product. I have started working. I'm 2 years into it, 3 years into it. I am creating my portfolio now. But I don't want to make mistakes that Elizabeth made.
Yes.
So I want to start now so that by the time I'm 40, at least my life is in order. So that is their ideal client for Zurich.
Okay.
This person does not want to come to the office and sit. They want to get on a Zoom call. It's 1 hour. Please tell me all my problems that you need for this week.
Document the solutions.
For me. Yeah, the solutions to kutana next week.
Yeah.
So that is the person that we see being the right person for that, because you are helping them grow. And over time, then they graduate to the 100 million client that now will be like, now let me charge you fund management fee because I'm helping you make better decisions.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you've been able to simplify exactly what you're doing at Zurich Consulting, which is very exciting. I need to get my money up. Ndio nikuja nikulete hata wewe unisaidie kuongeza zaidi. But in all honesty, what's one of the biggest portfolios you've had of one individual person?
So at Zurich, we don't fund manage. We actually advise only.
Okay.
Where I was before, I was at Saiton. I'm one of the founders of Saiton.
Yes.
So there we would have like even 200 million, 300 million.
Yo.
Yeah, people have money.
That's very interesting. And what business were they doing to be able to have that kind of money? What were they selling? Mboga?
Kuna mboga. So one of the things is people in business and where you're building an institution. So I would think about maybe you've started a true business like a hospital.
Okay.
For example. Definitely, if you put the right structures, within 5-10 years, the institution will be running on its own, and so you have cash flow.
Elizabeth, I want to hear this is a business that has money. And I'm saying you're not telling me. I'm like, niambie hii ndio inatoa gado. Yet I have seen the people who come to me with this one are the ones.
No, because there are people in construction, they do well. People in real estate, they do well. Okay. However, it is time. The biggest, let me not lie to you, it takes time. Do not think that you're going to be 100 million richer in 5 years. It is time. That is genuine cash. Okay, I'm talking about genuine money.
Unless I land on a jackpot like this.
A jackpot or something. But if you're good at your skill, remember you'll require 3 to 5 years of an apprenticeship, just being taught how things are done. And that you're really becoming good. And I'm just saying the normal curve. And then now, if you're going to get into business, then you're okay. I also want to tell people, we all don't have to start businesses. We can be well employed, be entrepreneurs within our organization and still make money.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there are people who get good bonuses. You get someone who's getting a bonus of like a 10 meter like this.
That's really good. Time. Can help out.
Yeah. So the thing is just knowing, be good at your art.
Okay.
Be good at what you do. Then decide whether you want to do it on a standalone like a business or do you want to do it within a bigger institution.
I really like that. Yeah. It's very inspiring. And it's great to see how your career has evolved over time. I know you're no longer sitting at the Inclusion Fund. You left. Are you still there?
I'm leaving.
You're leaving.
Yeah.
I was given that information and I'm wondering, so what's next for Elizabeth Nkukuu, and other than your PhD, which you're still undertaking, I want to know what's coming up next.
Zurich.
Yeah.
Really, my focus is I want to make sure that people understand money and they make the right money decisions.
Yes.
Because there, not only will you, I think I'll make money, but at the same time, you'll impact people.
Yes.
You'll impact, because we have made many mistakes. And just because we do not follow the basic rules of money, and we all learn differently. Yeah. There are those of us who learn by listening, like those who are going to be listening to us. There are those of us who learn better by reading. There are those of us who need actual hand-holding. So we want to provide those options.
Who are the many? Many are the ones who want hand-holding.
But they don't accept it. That's the problem.
I'm speaking for myself.
Most people who need help actually don't. Have you ever met someone you just like need to see a therapist and then they're like, "Nasema mimi ni wazimu."
A lot of people who need help don't know they need help.
They don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, they have denied. So the thing is, it's to convert the little that come, but make sure that at least you're creating the foundation for whoever comes your way.
Yeah.
You make sure that you don't. You make an impact.
Yes.
So my next level is teaching people about money.
I like that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to call you Doctor or Professor. Professor Elizabeth. Dr. Kwanza. Tuanze doctor. There's a joke that people are saying on social media. Once I get my doctorate, even my children will call me Dr. Mami. I wouldn't need a Mami.
It's difficult.
Who will be allowed to call you Liz? Is there anyone who will be allowed to call you Liz? Moving forward, it's doctor.
Not yet. I'm to doctor, please. I have worked too hard. I will have worked. Not yet. I will have worked too hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's very exciting. I've learned so much about the balance of life and work, which I think you have carried with a lot of grace. I can't wait to see what you're doing at Zuri. And of course, you at home, remember, you can check out what she's doing. And if you haven't got anything from this whole discussion, I'll tell you this one thing that Elizabeth has said. As you continue to learn, you continue to make better decisions. So you have to do it again and again until the self-doubt and the rethinking yourself disappears from your mind. So it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching. This is season 3 of the POV podcast live on. Yeah, thanks.